Hey guys, Demir from Lifehack Method. A lot of people are telling me that you can't replicate the same quality of a meeting in Zoom that you can in person. I'm here to say that that is totally wrong. And this video series is going to be me unlocking all my best secrets for how to run badass Zoom meetings. Let's get started. I just get a lot of people saying, hey, Demir, there is just no way that you can sell as well in a Zoom meeting. That needs to be done in person, right? Wrong. Coaching and leading your teams can't be done in Zoom. It has to be done in person, right? Wrong. What if everything that you could do in person, you could actually do better in Zoom? Now, here's how I know this is possible because for the last 5 years, everything that we do in our company has been on Zoom. We sell high ticket $5,000 coaching products on Zoom. We teach those coaching experiences on Zoom where people make lifelong friends. People have deep, profound transformations all on Zoom. So I'm here to tell you that aside from arm wrestling, there's nothing you can do in real life that you can't do better in Zoom, and I want to unlock those secrets for you. Now, I realize this can feel totally counterintuitive. Think about it for a second. It actually appeals to your logic. When I go to your office, I'm getting out of my comfort zone and going into your comfort zone. That's not as good as me staying right here, optimizing my space and being in my comfort zone. Here, I can have perfect lighting. I can have perfect sound, the perfect camera angle. Besides, I can have a script right in front of me and nobody even knows that I'm reading from a script. Can't do that in person. Guys, it all adds up to one super simple truth. When you're in Zoom, you're putting on a production. It's that simple. You can control the lights, the sound, the script, everything. You put on a production. So like I said, this is going to be a series. So let's start with section 1 of setting up your ideal environment. Guys, we all know that lighting is a big deal, but did you know how cheaply you can have a really good lighting setup? Now, at the minimum, you're going to want to have a light coming from behind the camera towards your face, usually off to one side. When you have it directly on, it sort of washes out your face, but when you have it a little bit off to one side, it gives a little bit of shadow on one side. And when it gives you that little bit more shadow, it defines your face a little bit more. But even if you just put it directly behind the camera, it would be better than nothing. Now, today we've got LED light strips, and I highly recommend that you buy an LED light strip. There's a couple reasons. Number one, they're cheap and portable and powerful. But number two, they actually don't kick off that much heat. And actually, when you close the doors in this room, it can get really hot. So it matters. And number three, they can replicate the same kind of light that you might get from outdoors. This is something we call color temperature, and you're looking for between 5,000 to 6,500 Kelvin. And that's just to say it would be the same quality and color of light that you'd get if you were just sitting in front of a window or if you were outdoors. Gang, there's a ton that you can buy on Amazon for less than $60, and I highly recommend, if you're willing to spend more around $100, my Inkeltech light ring. I don't get any money from them, but I really enjoy this LED light ring from Inkeltech. Now let's just say for a second that you can't afford that. Then what I would do is I'd probably switch this light setup around and I would sit right in front of this window and try to get as much of that natural light on my face as possible. Be careful though, don't sit underneath a ceiling light. A lot of people think the more light the better, but if the light's coming directly down, that's not better. It's almost better to turn that light off then. Now in a pinch, you can also go into your house and go find a lot of the other lamps and desk lamps and table lamps and go ahead and take them and put them in the room and put them behind the camera, and that'll flood your face with some light. Now, pro tip here, watch out for calls around sunset. So what's going to happen as the sun is setting is the nature of the light is going to change. So if I start recording now and I end recording after sunset, it's possible that the levels are going to be off. So watch out for those hours right around sunset. So guys, that's pretty much it for basic lighting. You just want a good camera and you want as much light as you can behind the camera coming towards your face. Let's talk about advanced lighting. You know, advanced lighting is not nearly as hard as people make it out to be. What I have going on right now is what we call a 3-point lighting setup. I have a key light, which is right behind my camera. It's a big Inkeltech ring light, and that's coming at my face and illuminating my face and putting just a little tiny bit of shadow. I also have an accent light back here that's putting a little bit of an accent right here. I'm going to turn it on and off and show you what it looks like. That's off. Notice there is some natural light coming in from that window, so I still have a little bit of an accent, and that's back on. Now notice, this isn't really anything fancy. This is my old key light. It's an old studio light. I like my Inkeltech better now, so now this has become a little bit of an accent light. I just put it down here on the bench, and I try to get it out of the frame. Now I have one additional source of light. There's actually a light strip inside of this room. And so what I did is I went ahead and turned it on a low setting, and that's just providing a little bit of light so I don't get too much shadow on my face. Now, this is something called the 3-point lighting principle. It's super simple and really well explained on YouTube. So rather than going to it right now, I'm just going to link to what I think is a really good video explaining it. And the best way for you to get involved is get 3 good lights and just start playing around. Let me give you a tip though. When I was doing the 3-point lighting setup, I was always putting the key light on the same side as the accent light, and it was really blunting the effect of the accent light. So a little tip, if this is an invisible wall down the middle of my nose, you want to have your key light on one side and your accent light on the other side of that invisible wall. I didn't get that, and I wasn't getting the best result for a long time. Another huge advantage with Zoom is that you can actually stage your background and make it look super cool, really interesting. Remember, that's not a choice you get when you go to somebody else's office. You just have to sit wherever they put you. Here, I can sit in the most interesting possible place to make myself look as interesting and dynamic as possible. So let's talk about basic staging. At the very minimum, shoot yourself against a flat wall. Now, I like to have a lot of visual appeal, so even if it's a flat wall behind you, I recommend that you buy on Amazon a fake wood slat pattern and tape it up or pin it up behind you. So I'm using the artificial background function on Zoom. It's a little bit cheesy, but you get the point. It's nice to have like a textured background behind you. I'm actually gonna drop a link to a fake backdrop that you can buy on Amazon that looks virtually the same as this. It's something you can pin up on a wall behind you, and I swear you can barely tell the difference. Another thing you can do when you have a flat wall is it's really easy to put some framed quotes and pictures and mottos, maybe your logo of your business. You can put it all up behind you in a little bit of a collage. That creates a lot of visual interest, even if it's just a flat wall. I really like inspirational quotes. There's so many that you can simply print out and you can frame them. That alone could be a great way to jazz up your background. And these decals, these inspirational decals, are super cheap on Amazon and create a huge impression. This one is $8.99. So you could also get a peel and stick decal from Amazon. So let's just recap basic staging. Even if you don't have a cool backdrop like mine, you can still do some really awesome stuff just by buying some cheap decals, posters, inspirational memes, or even a little bit of a fake backdrop on Amazon. For as much as we're on Zoom these days, a lot of people are on Zoom 5-6 hours a day, selling important stuff, driving your business forward. Isn't it worth it to spend $50, $100 on your setup? Okay, let's talk about advanced staging. Let's say that it's worth it for you to show up in an even bigger way, to put a little bit more effort into it. One of the things that I like to do is a wide angle lens. You can buy these online pretty darn cheap these days. So what's cool about a wide angle lens? The thing I like about a wide angle lens is when you're using it, your audience can immediately tell there's something different about you, but they can't quite put their finger on it. But I can tell you what it is. We're so used to seeing the same aspect ratio that when we do a fisheye lens, we do a wide angle lens, we're seeing more of you and we're seeing more of your office. So especially if you have a cool office or a cool background, you might want to consider a wide angle lens to show more of it off. And it gives a sense, we get used to feeling very constrained and boxed in when we're on Zoom all day. When you see somebody who's got a wide angle lens, it's almost like you take a breath of fresh air. You feel like you've been released from prison. Why? Because there's a sense of space and of airiness in their view. Another pretty advanced way to stage is to do what I've done here and stage it into a corner. Those two walls coming together creates a sense of movement and dynamism that you just don't get from a flat wall. Now, another thing that I'm doing here is I'm shooting out of a window, and that creates a lot of depth, a sense of space behind me. Now, that's a little bit more complicated because it required me to tint these windows so there wasn't too much light coming in. So these two windows are tinted and these two windows aren't. I'll be honest, it makes the lighting a little bit trickier, but not that much. And if you do have a killer view, wow, it's worth it. Let's talk for a second too about branding and messaging. This is something that you can really take to the nth degree. Now, if you were ever coached by me, you know that I'm obsessed with this quote by Ronnie Coleman. Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but don't nobody want to lift no heavy ass weight. It's a quote that really has come to embody the ethos and the sort of general vibe of our community. So guess what I did? I created a poster in Canva and I had it printed out. Now, it's not subtle, but it's really cool and it serves as a constant reminder during my coaching sessions of what we stand for. I have a little removable frame where I can just post it right here. So when I want it up, I can just put it right here. It's really cool and I can't tell you how many times I've gotten great comments on it. Okay, let's talk about green screen for a second. In general, I would advise you to stay away from green screen. It can just be really finicky and it's hard to get right. However, there are some situations when it is absolutely crucial. And that, my friends, is when you're traveling. It can be really hard to find a consistent, good background when you're traveling. So what I like to use is a web around green screen that latches on the back of my chair. Let me show you what that looks like. This, my friends, is what they call a WebAround portable webcam background. It actually latches right onto the back of your seat. This thing is so portable and incredibly helpful, and this works really well in conjunction with the Zoom virtual background function. So 90% of the time, I think you should come up with a great setup that's actually physical and just leave it in place. If you're traveling, boy, that WebAround green screen can really come in handy. Finally, and this is really advanced, you can talk about multicam setups and what we call a switcher studio. Now, a multicam setup is simply sort of what I've got here. You've got two setups, except instead of being pre-recorded, you can actually switch between these live. Now, normally there's an app that works really well on the App Store called EPOCam, EPOCCAM. It's $7.99, and it works really well for setting up your iPhone as an external camera. However, recently Zoom pushed a lot of updates and it seems to have broken that. So fingers crossed that it gets fixed. For the really advanced among you, there's also something called Switcher Studio. Think about Switcher Studio almost like a live television studio in an iPad, and you can literally switch between graphics, different video feeds, all at the touch of a button live. Now that is super, super, super advanced. Even I don't do that. But it goes to show how far you can take it if you really want to create an incredible production value in Zoom. You really have complete control. You can almost make it a TV production. Let's talk about sound for a second. Let's start with the minimum that you can do. The basics are don't use your AirPods. Don't do it, people. Although these AirPods are really convenient for you to use, the sound is terrible for the other person. A famous quote from Hollywood is that 70% of what you think you're seeing, you're actually hearing. That means people are not going to forgive you for poor audio quality. Even if you have to go back to the wired headphones, go back to that if you have to, because the sound is so much better than the AirPods. Here's another thing everybody should be using, an app called Krisp.ai. What it does, it actually uses AI to mute the background noise in any communication app like Zoom. And I'm telling you, this thing really, really works. I've had my baby in the same room crying and people couldn't hear it on the Zoom. I've had the front doorbell ringing. I've had people talking to me and it all gets blocked out. I'm talking this app is fire and it costs like $3 a month, even cheaper if you get it annual. If you do important business on Zoom, you must have the Krisp app. End of story. I don't get paid anything from these guys. I'm telling you, you need this. And yes, we're still talking about basics. That I include in the basics. So what about an advanced setup? Gang, it is totally worth going on Amazon and buying a cheap USB mic. The cheapest Amazon's Choice mic is about $23, $24. Come on, guys. Again, if you're doing important business through Zoom, isn't it worth it for you to put a little bit, invest a little bit of money into your setup? Now, this mic here is the Shure Globe mic. It's their USB mic. It's specifically designed to work with a computer, and it has a little USB nub at the end instead of a regular microphone nub. I spent about $100 on this thing and it was money so well spent. I love this thing. The only criticism that I have of this mic is they give you this really dinky little stand and it does not get the mic close enough, high enough. So I put it on this other stand here that I had laying around and brought it closer to my mouth and boom, just that little extra difference made so much difference in the sound quality. So I highly recommend the Shure USB Globe mic and I'll drop a link in the description below as well. The other thing is a lot of people don't know how to set up the right settings so that the right sound is going out and the right sound is coming in. Let me show you how to do that real quick. Now, the first thing that I like to do is I like to go to my system preferences and click in the sound and make sure that the input is coming in from the right input. You would be surprised how many times this gets screwed up. So I want the input to be coming through my Shure NV5 mic. Great. Then I want to go over here and I want to click on this little up arrow and go to audio settings. And I always want to test my mic and my speaker before I go live to just make sure that everything looks good. Now with the microphone, you want to go in here and make sure that it's crisp microphone. You want the microphone to be the crisp microphone and then go up here to your crisp settings and make sure that that's set to the Shure NV5. So what it's doing is creating an extra step. It's actually threading the audio through the artificial intelligence program. That's how it does the noise cancellation. Now, for my audio, what I like to do is I like to use my AirPods. So let me put in my trusty AirPods and I'll go in here and I'll make sure that my AirPods are connected, but I want to make sure that the mic is picking up my audio, but I'm hearing them through my AirPods. So we'll go in here and we'll click Demir Bentley's AirPods, but the microphone should still be crisp microphone. And you can always test this very easily by just clicking test speaker. I can hear that here. And test mic, testing mic, testing mic. Great, so I just checked that really quick and everything sounds perfect. So in this way, you get high quality microphone input. You're getting the best possible audio, but then I'm hearing them through my AirPods and I don't have any mics coming out of me. So I'm only hearing things through my AirPod, but I'm picking up sound with my high quality Shure mic right here. Controlling sound is such a critical part of putting on a great Zoom experience. Not just your sound, but also controlling the other people's sound in the room, using the mute and unmute to make sure that you're not getting feedback from other people or hearing somebody else's dog yapping in the background. We're going to talk a lot more about that when we talk about group facilitation inside of Zoom. Remember, guys, 70% of what you think you're seeing, you're actually hearing, and people will not forgive bad sound. Okay, gang, we're almost done with staging, lighting, and sound, but I want to leave you with a pro tip: temperature control. Like I said, when tensions are high, your stress levels are high, the lights are going, you can get really hot really quick. Now, I'm lucky enough to have an air conditioning unit right here, but even if you don't have that, have a fan handy and ready. Even if you don't feel hot at the beginning of the call, do yourself a favor, turn on the fan and point it towards you so that as the call goes and you start to get a little bit excited and the lights get hot, that you don't start sweating. Okay, gang, that's section 1, lighting, sound, staging, temperature. This is a huge part of what you can control in Zoom, and this is something you cannot do in person. It's so cool that you have full control of these. You want to take advantage of that. Now, in the next video, section 2, I'm going to talk about how to get people oriented, how to get their technology working properly, and how to ease them and orient them onto the call. As it turns out, onboarding people onto a Zoom call is a huge, huge portion of their experience. And if you like these videos, give me a subscribe and a thumbs up if you want to see more of this content.